I'm here as well as a professor at IST. Hello to everyone again. So the quest for creating artificial beings has been pursued since Renaissance by scientists, artists, and craftsmen. Indeed, the workings of the human mind has for long puzzled the humankind. And this is the first problem that I will address, the one of creating an artificial brain for a robot. And this will lead to a second question. Will clever robots become intelligent and will eventually dominate the humankind? Well, this is a head-like of a robot from the movie Transformers. But many other scientific fiction movies have addressed the problem of creating artificial creatures, such as robots, that resemble in many aspects biological organisms. But that is still science fiction. Any of you guys in the audience knows how to create an artificial brain working as a human brain? Well, nobody knows. But we can, and we should, take inspiration from nature and look how biological organisms, after 3.5 billion years of evolution, succeeded on such a challenging endeavor. One first artificial intelligence approach, as you can see, was to create enormous rules engines with if-then rules. These were like prefabricated brains. And then what you have to do is just to open the head of the robot, put the brain inside, and eureka! You have something intelligent. So simple as that, but it doesn't work like that. So one of such machines was, for instance, IBM Deep Blue chess player program. This was very successful in playing chess. After many tentatives, it was able to beat the human world chess player Kasparov. But it was only good on playing chess, nothing else. So these programs are not appropriate to build a general purpose machine that can act somehow intelligently in many different contexts. On the other hand, we can try a more embodied approach, like on the TV series Friends. If we want to know if a ugly, naked guy on the other side of the building is dead or alive, we pick up a giant poking device, and from the other side, we beat him with poking strongly. Well, if he moves, or if he screams, then he's alive. If not, then he's dead. So we have an active strategy, one of acting on the world to better perceive the world. And children use this kind of active strategies. As a matter of fact, newborns are not tabula rasa. They come equipped with a genetic legacy code that allows them to perceive stimulus such as discontinuous motions or repetitive events. Babies, for instance, can spend minutes looking for a washing machine in operation or to a rotating sailing fan. And this can be really great sometimes if you feel a desperate father as I. Well, put your kid in front of these devices. The bad news is that it doesn't work for long. But we now have an alternative strategy. To get information from the world, we can grab objects, drop them, disassembling Legos, assembling them as we have Legos upside, pointing at objects, showing objects. We have actions that we can do in the world to facilitate its perception. On the other hand, children love toys. Well, not only children. But they use them to learn. And for a robot, a robot needs to be able to learn in order to develop and to adapt to its environment. And the human caregiver plays a very important role on the robot's learning process by performing several educational and playful activities with the robot, facilitating this way the robot's perception and learning. Activities such as playing music to a robot or to a kid, show him books, waving objects, throwing objects, moving a car back and forward after a service, etc., etc. And these are playful activities very useful for kids to learn and as well for robots. So we'll see next several a sample of children-like learning scenarios for teaching the humanoid robot COG at MIT. So we start by having to have a person shaking an object to the robot in many different angles.
So it appears a new one. It says that the recognition recognizes it correctly. Okay.
Now a different object that is accelerated on the image, this one that I just told to my kid. And we see that the robot is able to gather information concerning the objects and to recognize them as being the object. Here I'm just showing this is a table or this is a sofa. We can also point like that. We limit the space where the robot has to search for an object. We are showing him information. Here we have an attentional system working, like we humans have attentional systems, that I'm grabbing the robot's attention to look to the book. Test colors, motion, and I'm grabbing his attention. And then I start showing him objects, pointing with the finger, so that he has tracked that information, and he has tracked the sound that I do to associate the words to the object. So, word correlations. Then I went through other activities such as painting for the robots. He learns, for example, the circular shape, and then he's able to map that shape to other objects such as this one on the real world. Here we have a toy train going around. The robot learns the motion, the circular motion, and associates that to the train. Here is associated that if I make this motion, this is associated to the sound no. Or this motion is associated to that bang. So we are able to correlate all these kind of informations. And once the robot learns how the humans execute the tasks, then the robot becomes able to execute the tasks himself, as we'll see next. So for example, here he's poking a car and he's learning information about the car after poking him or on a ball. We can see as well in another experience where I'm catching the robot's attention to this drum, but sometimes the robot just turns away the face and I ask him to come back and look to here by catching his attention. It's like a child. We have to catch his attention so that he keeps playing with us. Here he doesn't still have a hand, so he has to wait for me to attach this rod to his hand so that he learns information about the rock. And here he's learning about himself in front of a mirror. He can associate that the image that he's learning corresponds to his own body. This is important for later to develop a theory of mind. On this experience, he's playing drums using what is called a model from biology that is two neurons that are mutually inhibiting. It is called neural oscillators, and it's using them to saw this piece of wood. So, in order to implement this on the robot, many different artificial intelligence algorithms were implemented, emulating several functions of the human brain, such as visual processing, as it is done by the visual area of the cerebral cortex, object recognition and location, as well, recognizing drawings, etc., as it happens on the temporal lobes of the cerebral cortex. Decision-making and emotions. I am not going to speak here today about emotions, as it happens with our basal ganglia and the frontal area of the cerebral cortex, or even sensing and moving the body as it happens on the somatosensory parts of the parietal cortex of the brains, and other functions, inclusively that we have on the spinal cord, for instance. But for this to be possible, we need knowledge from many interdisciplinary fields, such as models from biology and neuroscience, as I just referred, mechanics knowledge for building and controlling robots, information from psychology, human anatomy, genetics, mathematics, physics, artificial intelligence, of course, computer vision, among others. But no matter all this complexity, the robot cog's brain is still a very simple brain compared to a human brain. But now the road to develop more complex brains is more clear. Humans need to help robots in succeeding in such a task. Because humans do that with children. We help them to succeed. We should do the same with robots. So, and as robots get clever, during the last decade, they start appearing at our homes. For example, robot vacuum cleaners to clean the floor, or robots to clean swimming pools, or even bathtub robots to wash elder people autonomously. And they have also appeared outside our homes. For instance, rescue robots to save people in natural disasters, or robots to inspect oil pipes. But in the future, robots will be pervasive in our lives. They will be everywhere. And we will not be able to live without them. Our homes will be robots. They will be self-configurable and interacting with us. They will be made as well of biological material. For example, the tree in our garden is going to be blended with our brick house. And the room might be part of brick and part of tree. Home appliances will be intelligent and interactive. For instance, the bed at our home will be a robot that wraps itself and helps us to wake up in the morning, something very useful. And the bathroom toilet will clean itself autonomously, which is also great. Even the doorknob is a robot that interacts with us. And each of these robots, which will have its own personality, and all of them will be network connected, communicating with each other or with humans. So, we just saw that after we raise robots as our child, they will become robot teenagers. And do you know, teenagers want to dominate the world. So, will these robots want to enslave or to kill humans or to dominate us? Well, to provide answers to this question, let's look at the painting of Whistler's mother, as immortalized by Mr. Bean. Was she a robot? No. And if I could time travel and go back and offer her an electronic hearing device for her to listen better, would then she be a robot? Well, still no. Is he a robot? Well, no. But it took me almost 1 year to realize, doing research on the same lab as Hugh, to realize that his legs were artificial robotic prostheses. And indeed, nowadays, it is being developed artificial prostheses that are directly connected to neurons in the human body, so that the biological and artificial are all connected. They are mixed, they are integrated. and they can do a lot to help
You guys
people.
have no idea. You have no idea, man.
Give them the possibility to do things that they never imagined to be possible.
There you go.
Currently, artificial retinas are being developed directly connected to the human brain to correct problems in visual perception. In the future, human brain areas with injuries due to strokes, accidents, disease, can be replaced by electronic processors who execute the same functions as the biological material they replace. So will these people be humans? Robots? Or they will be a kind of hybrids? Indeed, electronic semiconductor materials are increasingly being used in humans. And people are willing to pay to live longer, to live better and have more fun on their lives. So humans will be able not only to compensate for deficiencies, but also to increase their mental and physical capabilities with robots. For instance, we can see here an exoskeleton robot where a people can wear this robot, and they control it and they can use it to lift very heavy loads. So we can give mobility to paraplegic people. But not only, people can also run faster, jump higher, eventually have more visual or auditory acuity, and who knows, it will be useful if they could make our children to do better math as well. So robots will also be inside our bodies. For instance, on the bloodstream, to correct problems by administrating the appropriate dose treatment according to the disease status. And all these robots will communicate with a remote external provider, health provider, through new networks of communication that go up to the interior of the human body. So robots are still on their infancy, but these devices will have an explosive growth. And as we teach robots to become more intelligent, and as robots become more pervasive in our lives, and integrated with our bodies and brains, they will become part of nature and part of the evolutionary path of human life. So let's embrace this new coming world of diverse, hybrid, and ubiquitous creatures. And ultimately, we will end up by having to redefine our concept of life itself. Thank you. Oh, and if you want to have some fun with the toys, just let me know after the event.
Thank you.